Hey, an OSHA inspector is at your front door. Are you ready? In this episode, I'm going to unpack everything you need to know to prepare your team for an unexpected OSHA audit. We're going to talk about documentation. We're going to talk about the walkthrough. We're going to talk about the interviews. And most importantly, at the end of this, I'm going to share with you some common mistakes that managers make so you can avoid them. It's going to be worth your time. If you like this episode, please give me a big thumbs up, share it, and pass it on so other people can learn more about this as well. Let's jump in. Well, hey friend, my name is David Sawyer. I am a safety coach. I help busy managers prevent accidents and avoid OSHA. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about how you can prepare your company for an unexpected OSHA visit. Now, I have a OSHA audit checklist. You've got to go to my website. It's a free checklist. It will pair perfectly with this training, and it is well worth your time. Go to helpwithosha.com, download the free OSHA audit checklist, and you can follow along with that as we work through this episode. Now, the very first thing you have to do is you got to know the process. You have to know the process. There is freedom in knowing what to expect. I say this often, and I mean it so many times. A safety manager doesn't know what he or she doesn't know. And that's okay, because you're watching this kind of video, you're watching this training so that you can learn more and be better prepared. When it comes to an OSHA inspection, there's a couple things that trigger an OSHA inspection. That means they cause the OSHA inspection to happen. The most common reason for an OSHA inspection is a disgruntled employee complaint. Now, there's three parts to that. Number one, it's one of your own employees. So it's like the problem is inside, right? The phone call is coming from inside the house. That's what we're talking about here. So knowing that we need to be aware that our employees need to be kept not disgruntled. That's the second thing. A disgruntled employee is meaning that they're not happy. So if you have a disgruntled employee, it's somebody that's not a happy employee. And the reason they're not happy is because they don't feel like they're being heard. So we want to make sure that, again, employees know that they're being heard, and that if they complain to you, the safety manager. They complain to their supervisor. And complain is a bad word. We shouldn't say complain, but they are constructive in trying to tell you, hey, we got a problem over here and we need to get it fixed. So employee complaint, number one reason OSHA comes in the door. When OSHA comes in the door, they're going to have a three-part process. Every OSHA audit follows the same framework. The first step is an opening conference where they meet with you and the leadership team to explain why they're there and what they're looking for. Number two, they're going to do a walkthrough, meaning they're going to go through the facility. They're going to interview employees. They're going to ask to see documentation. They're going to inspect the facility. And then the third part of the framework is the closing conference. And this is where they meet with you and they say, here's what we found. Now, it's not official yet. That's not an official report. They're just kind of giving you a heads up. This is what we found. Here's what we're concerned about. So that's the three-part framework. Knowing the process makes things go a lot smoother. After that, boom, documentation. You want to have your documentation organized. So, what documentation do you need to have? Well, there's a lot of things, but the one thing they always ask for is your current OSHA log for this year. So I'm recording this in 2025. Whenever you're watching this, you got to have the current year OSHA log. And then they're going to go back in time and they're going to say, let me see the past 5 years. Sometimes they don't ask for 5, but that's what they can ask for. They're not going to go back to 6 or 7 or 8. And usually they're going to stick to about 3. Then you're going to make sure you have the written programs. the written safety programs. You're going to make sure you have training documentation for employees. And during the opening conference, they're going to explain why they're there. So again, employee complaints, the number one reason. They also could come in because of an accident. So let's say we had an accident on a bandsaw. If you had an accident on a piece of equipment, they're going to want to know, are employees trained on how to use that equipment? Okay, so again, training records are a key part of it. Safety programs are a key part of it. Inspections, daily inspections, forklift inspections, fire extinguisher inspections, sprinkler inspections, those kind of things. Now, after the documentation part, what else do you need to know? Well, it's always a good idea to prepare the facility by doing a walkthrough, because they're going to walk through your facility and all they have eyes for is safety. They're not worried about production. They're not worried about quality. They're not worried about customer complaints. The only thing they care about are the safety regulations. So they're going to be looking for clear walkways, exits that aren't blocked, fire extinguishers that aren't blocked. Anything that looks unsafe is something they're going to follow up on. So just it's always a good idea to walk through your facility as if OSHA's 10 minutes away. Let me say that again. I feel like that's a really good thing. You might even want to write it down. Always walk through your facility as if OSHA's 10 minutes away. Because when you see something and that doesn't look right? That extension cord is running over and it's zip tied to 3 different mounts on the wall and it's running down the wall and then there's exposed wires at the end of it. Well, that doesn't look safe. I need to take care of that problem immediately. So the walk around is important. During the walk around, they're looking for safety problems, but they're also going to be talking to your people. So if they got a complaint in a certain department about chemicals not being labeled, they're going to be looking at the chemicals. They're going to be looking at the chemical containers, and they're also going to ask your employees, hey, do you know where the safety data sheets are located? Do you know about the chemical inventory? And if your employees go, I got no idea what you're talking about, that's a bad sign. So I would encourage you as a safety manager, go out on the floor at least once a week and ask employees some basic questions. Hey, where are the safety data sheets kept? How do we do a forklift inspection? Where's your nearest fire extinguisher? What kind of PPE is required? They don't ask complicated questions. They ask basic questions. Where's your rally point for your emergency evacuation? Where's everyone going to meet to do a head count? So these are things that employees should know. It should be kind of just second nature to them. So we want to make sure we've done that. Now, common mistakes. I want to talk about some common mistakes that safety managers make. And not even safety managers. Oftentimes it's leadership in a company. It's the plant manager. It's the general manager. It's the receptionist. Couple of mistakes that people make. Number one, OSHA comes in the front door. You want to have somebody there that knows how to handle them, meaning be nice. Be nice to them. Let them in the door. Ask them if they need to use the restroom. Ask them if they want a cup of coffee. Have them in a designated area so they can sit. They can be comfortable while that person is getting somebody to come assist. So in my OSHA audit course, I have a course dedicated to teaching teams how to do this. I explain that role is called the gatekeeper, meaning this person needs to know how to handle the OSHA inspector to make sure they are comfortable, they're happy, and they are off to the side until we can have somebody come meet with them and handle the opening conference. So not having somebody prepared, that's a big mistake. Another big mistake, and I shouldn't even have to say this, but never, ever lie to an OSHA inspector. If they ask you a question, tell them the truth. But the other mistake I see made is you might not lie to them, You might do the opposite. You give them way too much information. You never answer questions that haven't been asked. Don't give too much information to the inspector. Because if you say, oh man, we haven't done forklift training in probably, it's probably been 6 years. That's good for 10 years, right? Like, nope, it's good for 3 years. So you just outed yourself and we got a problem. The OSHA inspector is not your friend. They're there to find problems and give you a fine. That's why they're there. Now, the compliance side of OSHA, that is the same as a police officer trying to give you a traffic ticket. Now, I got nothing against police officers, but I don't want to get a traffic ticket. Same thing with an OSHA inspector. I got nothing against OSHA inspectors. I don't want to get a citation. So I'm not going to lie, but I'm not going to give them all the information. And one of the best things you can do as a manager is make sure your team is prepared. So doing a role play, a walkthrough of what an inspection looks like goes a long way. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. This is a big part. This is the last thing I'm going to touch on after the inspection. So 3-part process: opening conference, walk around, closing conference. After the closing conference, when OSHA leaves, the inspection is still going on. And what I mean by that is all the stuff is still happening. So after the inspection, it is critical that you stay in communication with OSHA and that you correct any problems that they found before they tell you you need to correct them. When they were there on site, that was them telling you you needed to correct them. So if they go through and just as an example, you go, oh man, we found out that this exit door is broken, right? It opens, but it doesn't latch. It doesn't have a self-closing device. You're going to fix that as quick as you possibly can. And you're going to take a picture of it and you're going to document it. So if they have a problem, if there's a chemical container that's not labeled, that should be fixed before he ever leaves the building. So you want to fix anything that's wrong. And if you can't fix it, if it's something that requires a welder or outside contractor, you're going to have that scheduled and you're going to communicate that to OSHA. So communication is so important. And that's one of the biggest mistakes companies make is after the inspection, they go, whew, that could have been a lot worse. And then they never fix the problems. You have to fix the problems as quick as possible. Stay in communication and work with OSHA. They are there to find problems. It's your job to fix the problem so nobody gets hurt. Now, I want to remind you again, if you haven't, go to my website, helpwithosha.com, download my free OSHA audit checklist. You can also sign up and take my online course. It is well worth your time. This course has everything you need to prepare your leadership team for an OSHA audit inspection. And if you're in the middle of an inspection, just by chance, if you're in the middle of an inspection right now, I walk you through everything you need to do to respond to OSHA. We talk about the timelines. We talk about the informal conference. I really unpack everything. So that is a great resource. I would highly recommend it. But again, if you don't want the full course or you don't feel like you got time for it, get the checklist. It's free. It's a no-brainer. All right. Until we talk again, do everything you can to keep the people you work with safe because no one should get hurt at work.